2000 to 2010s, do you really feel like things changed that much?
Ask the fashion designers. They would probably laugh at you.
I don't feel like they did. Not as much as from the 70s to the 80s. Like, think about what they wore in the 70s.
Welcome to We Are Going Somewhere, the fashion episodes. There's this lady here at the crossing who takes her job very seriously every morning. Maybe I can show you.
What are you doing? She got mad at them.
She always gets mad. That's the problem. That's what I'm talking about.
But this is very unclear the way she's doing this, because see? And when she does it with her hands, it's different.
Usually she works without those sticks.
Yes.
Somebody must have gotten her the sticks.
No, it's because it's foggy.
Ah.
So she's yelled at you before?
Oh yeah.
What, a lot? You make it sound like a lot.
Like twice.
What did you do?
Once I didn't go because it took so long. I was just like checking my phone.
Uh-huh.
And then she was whistling and whistling. I'm like, why is she whistling so much? And she was like already on her way to my car, so I just
God.
went quickly. I think the main problem with this lady is that she has all those commands in her head, and if you don't react in like split second to what she does, she already gets mad. Mm-hmm. And I kind of understand, because she must be thinking people are dumb by now. She's doing this all day long for like forever. I mean, how long have you been seeing her here? For years?
Actually, she's new, but the last one was the same way.
I guess people burn out in this particular job quickly.
Mama, wasn't that...
Today's episode is not really going to be a fashion episode because it's Blonnie's 5th cycle of chemo. Are you ready?
No.
You mean mentally or physically or both?
I just don't want to. But I do want to.
You mean you have to?
Yeah. Because I know what's going to happen afterwards. And so I don't want to go through that. But the alternative is worse, so let's go.
Visit from Duffy the therapy dog.
Duffy is 6. Oh. What is she looking at? She thinks she have another treat? Probably.
Wow, it's slow motion? Mm-hmm. That's just crazy cool. Since today was the 5th cycle of chemo for Blonnie, we thought this would be a perfect opportunity to post an update in the general cancer fight situation and talk about what we learned during this process. It's been good several months already, actually almost half a year, and we just want to talk about like a little summary of what we learned while trying to go through this ordeal and do our best to get Blonnie back to a 100% healthy state.
I feel like since being diagnosed, I've learned a lot of things that I personally used to think, and some of the comments that people make to me, I believe they believe about cancer, and they're just not true. And so most of the time I just smile politely and thank them, because in the end, everybody's heart is good and they're trying to wish me the best. But I feel like there's a lot of misconceptions that people have. Number one, the most striking thing that people believe about cancer and that I believed about cancer is that medicine has advanced so much. We've invested millions and trillions and so much money that absolutely everybody can have the possibility of being cured no matter what stage or position they are in their cancer diagnosis. Even with the advancements we've made in cancer treatments, we really don't know what we're doing. We don't know what we're seeing. With CAT scans, and it takes millions of cells before they can actually see the cancer cells on the scan. So I've been in groups where people were diagnosed and they went through chemotherapy and it looked like there was no cancer left in their body, and the next thing that they're supposed to do is have a mastectomy. They go in and do the mastectomy and they find out that there was still a lot of cancer in their body. And in fact, they had lymph nodes that were filled with cancer. So the scans seemed to be clear, but in reality, they weren't clear. And so I'm just talking to you. I feel like that when you just say that, people don't realize what that means. Because the danger of that is if they tell somebody, you don't need a mastectomy. Like in my case, I'm stage 4. And they don't even know if they're going to give me a mastectomy because that's not the standard thing they do for stage 4. But if they don't give me a mastectomy and then the scan seems to be clear and yet there's still all of this cancer in my body, well, what happens? It's just going to grow and get worse. The advancement that we all believe in for cancer is not reflected in the cure rates. And in fact, the life expectancy for somebody who's been diagnosed at stage 4 is only a few months longer, since the 70s. Another thing is that cancer is a genetic disease. Well, actually, only 30% of cancer can be defined as a genetic disease. And the woman who was at the genetic counseling that I went to when I was going to be tested, I still don't have the results from that, but I don't believe that they're going to reflect anything. The woman at the genetic counseling told me that in reality, when we look for these markers that put you at risk of cancer, it's not like saying, I have curly hair, the curly hair gene, I have the blue eye gene. It's basically saying you don't have the protections in your genetic markup to protect you from the things that are causing cancer. Conclusion is, why do we need genetic protection? We need genetic protection because we've polluted our planet. We've created chemicals that we all use and don't even realize. There's stuff in the water. There's so many things that are causing problems now that many, many years ago didn't have an effect on our ancestors. And maybe they didn't have those genetic protections, but they didn't need them. Cancer is actually, on one hand, a purely genetic disease. But in a way, that's a matter of semantics, because what that means is the genetics are being modified by all of these chemicals. That's why. These chemicals actually change our DNA and cause cancer. Another misconception is that only very old people or people who have weakened immune systems are really at risk of cancer or dying from cancer, but that's absolutely not true, because I, for one, had a very healthy immune system. I almost never got sick, and when I did get sick, I barely had any issues. I was never one to complain. I got over it really quickly. There's a lot of other women I've read about in some of these cancer forums, some who ran marathons, some who were vegetarians, who ate all of the right things, did everything right, did everything you read about doing correctly to prevent cancer. People who had no family history of the disease, and yet they had it. I know I used to think that people who died from cancer probably just had like a weakened immune system, or they were older and simply couldn't fight it off, because cancer is generally an older person's disease. And when I learned more about it myself because of my own diagnosis, I realized it doesn't matter how strong your immune system is, because your immune system let you down to have you get the cancer in the first place. We're all at risk of this. I naively thought I certainly don't have to worry about cancer because Nobody in my family had cancer. I'm really strong and healthy person. I don't have any of the risk factors, and yet here I am, stage 4. That is funny because of all this stuff that we talk about, like, that is the thing that makes me the most sad. You know, does it make sense to you? Like, I feel like, I don't know why. I don't want this on there though. I'm just talking to you.
Cancer centers with great reputation are your best shot. And my reasoning here is this is a misconception because one, majority of traditional medicine doctors completely reject alternative treatment methods, and those are definitely worth exploring. Again, the problem is we don't really know exactly whether they work or not, because they work on some people and on some
Just
people
like
they don't.
medicine.
But
So does
chemo
medicine.
does in the
Yeah.
same way. The problem is nobody's researching those alternative
And
methods
why aren't
enough.
they researching them?
Because they
don't
don't
make
make them
money.
money.
Yeah. Some of what I've learned is that sometimes their rankings are so wonderful in cancer treatments because they accept the people, the patients who they believe they can actually help. Even though I went to Johns Hopkins, they didn't have any optimistic report for me. David did a video about that. They don't have optimism above and beyond what I'm getting from my own doctor. And my own doctor in a smaller local hospital is treating me like I could be the exception to the rule. And at Johns Hopkins, I was just told, here are the statistics and you're one of them. That's how it's going to be. Another misconception is that early detection is what is going to help. There's a lot of money. Most of the money for breast cancer has been invested in early detection and awareness campaigns. It hasn't been invested in curing and research for helping the disease along. And the truth of the matter is, early detection will help some people, but still 30% of those people who were diagnosed at an earlier stage of the disease come back and have stage 4 cancer. So where's the money? The money should be spent towards helping figure out a cure. I think we're all very well aware of early detection by now. We all know that we should be watching out for this, but I don't know how to say this.
Early detection is not going to help us if we don't have more effective methods of fighting cancer, and if we don't finally figure out where it's coming from. Then we don't need early detection if we can figure out why we're getting it.
2 to 6%, I've seen a different range of this, of all cancer research money which is being spent for research on breast cancer goes to stage 4 cancer. And stage 4 is the only cancer stage of breast cancer that can actually kill you. So why are we only spending 2 to 6% of our research dollars on figuring out how to fix it? The last point is that we're a society that has been made to believe that drugs are the answer. Drugs are going to be the cure to this disease, and I personally feel that finding the cause of this disease is the answer. The truth is, Big Pharma is driven by money, and their goal would not be to cure us. Their goal is to keep you sick because then they can give you more drugs. But I don't believe this as adamantly as you do. I feel like when you say something that sounds so radical that, I mean, I do believe it to like a 80% of what you believe. But when you say something so dramatically, people are going to be like, ugh.
Well, look at what's happening. You really don't think that's true? If they found a drug, which I believe they could have done a long time ago, that cures all of us without side effects, their profit ends. There's no one to cure anymore. Mm-hmm. If they give you drugs that keep you, within the prognosis of maybe becoming better for the next 20 years, then they make profit of you for 20 years. Mm-hmm. Hello?
Hello?
No, I feel like that's...
Another aspect to this is that many traditional doctors reject any alternative treatment ideas, and I feel like there could be a cure already. I feel like there could be other methods without side effects possibly. Maybe methods that are complementary to the chemo, that help the chemo, but I feel like things in our world are driven by money, completely by money, and many of the things that could possibly help you don't make anybody money. These are some of my thoughts and observations since starting this fight with cancer 5 months ago. I feel like I've learned a lot of shocking things, and people really don't have any idea how far the rabbit hole goes as far as cancer treatment.
Well, here's the funny part. I'm walking through the hospital after getting the breakfast, and a nurse is walking towards me and she says, "I like your bones." I'm like, "What?" I'm like, what do I make out of that? And I'm like, that was weird. I didn't even say like thank you or anything.
Did you even think about that when you put that t-shirt on today? Your bones showing?
I just grabbed the first one that was available on
The first one on the
in the
clean
laundry
pile.
room.